I got these scars protecting my sister. Now, she thanked me by excluding me from her engagement ceremony. I'm 30. I never thought I'd be locked out of my own sister's engagement ceremony. Not after what happened 2 years ago, when I nearly gave my life to save hers. But life is a way of surprising you, and not always pleasantly. It started the day my sister, Mary, got engaged. She met someone nice from what little I knew, and they were planning this elaborate ceremony at an upscale venue. I was excited for her, my little sister, happy and in love. But as the days went by, something felt off. Everyone was talking about the date and location, yet I never received an actual invitation. When I asked Mary about it casually, she was evasive. "We're still finalizing things," she'd say. "Don't worry about it." Then, on the day of the engagement, she texted me an address and time. When I arrived, there was nothing there, no party, no celebration. The reception desk confirmed no events were scheduled for that day. That's when the truth came via text. "Sorry, Mom and Dad don't want you to appear on my important day. They said your scar will scare everybody, and they don't want to lose face." I was stunned. My phone kept buzzing with calls from our father, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. That evening, he finally caught me on the line, sounding both worried and irritated. "Where were you?" "The ceremony ended hours ago. Why didn't you come?" When I explained what happened, what Mary had told me, there was a long pause before he cursed under his breath. Within an hour, both our parents were at my apartment, their faces etched with anger and confusion. That's when everything came to light. The engagement had been huge, with plenty of friends present. Mary had deliberately excluded me, never telling our parents about her decision. My father's eyes narrowed as understanding dawned. "Could it be that she was worried about your scars in the photos?" The words stung, but they made sense. I'd overheard her once talking about how wedding photos needed to be perfect. Apparently, my facial scars didn't fit her vision of perfection. Let me tell you about these scars. I remember that night like it was yesterday. I was dragging myself home after a long shift at work, dead on my feet and dreaming about my bed when I heard the screams. My blood ran cold. I knew that voice. It was Mary. I ran toward the sound, and there she was, backed against a chain-link fence with a huge stray dog snarling in her face. She was frozen in terror, tears streaming down her cheeks, desperately calling for help. You know those moments they talk about, where you don't think, you just move? That was one of them. Before I knew what I was doing, I was sprinting forward. I grabbed that dog and yanked it back with everything I had. Looking back, it probably wasn't the smartest move, but when it's your little sister, you don't exactly stop to weigh your options. The dog, well, it didn't take kindly to the interruption. It whirled around so fast I barely saw it move, and suddenly those teeth that had been threatening Mary were buried in my face. The pain was excruciating as it tore into my face and arm. It took animal control to finally get the beast off me. Mary was shaken, but unharmed. I, on the other hand, walked away with deep scars across my face that even multiple surgeries couldn't completely fix. Our parents insisted on covering the medical bills, calling me a hero. Mary was overwhelmed with gratitude back then. Tears, hugs, promises to repay me somehow. It felt like we'd forged an unbreakable bond. But something changed over time. I started noticing how Mary's expression would flicker whenever she looked at my scars, as if she hated being reminded of that night. We never talked about it, but I could feel her growing increasingly uncomfortable around me. The fallout was immediate. Our parents had financed most of the engagement and were planning to pay for the wedding too. When they confronted Mary after the party, she tried to brush it off as a misunderstanding. But when pressed, she revealed her true thoughts. My scars would overshadow her photos, making people uncomfortable. "I only wanted perfect pictures," she said, as if that justified everything. What really set my father off was when Mary had the audacity to say she never asked me to help her that night, never asked me to take those scars for her. My father announced on the spot that they were done funding her wedding. "If you treat your brother like trash, you can pay for your own wedding," he declared. Mary tried to spin it, saying she didn't want negativity overshadowing her ceremony, painting me as someone who might draw pity or create drama. But our father was unmoved. If your definition of negativity is your own brother's presence, then you can pay for your own wedding. The news spread quickly through our family. Mary tried damage control, telling relatives I was being dramatic, that my scars would overshadow her big moment. Some family members were appalled, others tried to stay neutral, but everyone could see how entitled she was being. Her fiancé tried to mediate, approaching our father quietly to seek a compromise. He hadn't known the full story of the dog attack, having only heard rumors. When my father explained how I'd nearly died saving Mary, the fiancé finally understood the gravity of the situation. But Mary wouldn't budge, continuing to insist, "It's my day." Reality hit hard when venues started demanding deposits and vendors called about delayed payments. Our father had cut off all financial support, and Mary didn't have nearly enough money on her own. That's when she tried apologizing to me, though it reeked of desperation. She showed up at my apartment, eyes puffy, saying she was sorry I felt excluded but that she had her reasons. My fiancé's family is strict about appearances, she explained, as if that made it better. When I reminded her that I had these scars because I'd saved her life, she just pouted and said she wanted a perfect engagement. The wedding plans began to crumble. Her fiancé's family wasn't willing to cover the entire cost, and Mary's savings weren't sufficient. She tried calling our mother, crying about how unfair it all was, but Mother simply replied, "You brought this on yourself. Apologize sincerely. Fix what you've done to your brother." Instead of truly apologizing, Mary doubled down. She sent me a text saying she realized she messed up and wanted to fix things, but when we met, she just offered excuses about being stressed and wanting a perfect engagement. She never acknowledged the cruelty of excluding me. The final meeting with our parents went poorly. Instead of showing genuine remorse, Mary threw accusations that we were sabotaging her happiness, that our father was being controlling. Father's response was simple: "Until you truly understand you were wrong, we're not paying a dime." Mother added quietly, "Your brother's scars are a symbol of his love for you. You spat on that gift." In the end, the wedding was canceled. Her fiancé's family refused to foot the entire bill, especially after witnessing her behavior. She tried to cover it up, claiming scheduling conflicts, but everyone knew the truth. Even her attempt at a courthouse ceremony fell flat when her fiancé lost enthusiasm for a celebration tainted by such drama. Throughout all of this, I stood firm. If my sister valued her photos more than our relationship, more than the sacrifice I made for her, I wouldn't pretend everything was okay. Our parents supported me completely, maintaining that if she couldn't respect what I'd done for her, she didn't deserve their financial support. Mary ended up with no extravagant engagement, no fairy tale wedding, just the harsh consequences of her own vanity. Her attempts to paint herself as the victim fell flat with everyone who knew the truth. Even distant relatives who'd initially sympathized with her changed their tune when they learned the full story of my scars. The hardest part wasn't losing my sister's wedding invitation or even facing her betrayal. It was realizing that the sister I thought I knew, the one who used to hold my hand when we crossed the street as kids, who'd cry to me about her first heartbreak, who I'd thought would always have my back just as I had hers, had been replaced by someone who cared more about Instagram perfect photos than family bonds. Some family members tried to convince me to be the bigger person and just let it go. They'd say things like she's your only sister or family is family. But I've learned that being the bigger person doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. Sometimes standing your ground is the most important thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for the people who hurt you. Looking back now, I don't regret maintaining my position, and I'm grateful our parents stood firmly beside me. They showed me that love doesn't mean enabling bad behavior. Real love sometimes means letting people face the consequences of their actions, even when it's painful to watch. The scars on my face tell a story, not just of that night with the dog, but of sacrifice, love, and the price we sometimes pay for doing the right thing. They're a reminder that our choices define us far more than our appearances ever could. Mary chose perfect photos over family loyalty. I chose to save her life without hesitation. Those choices reveal everything about who we both are as people. I still think about her sometimes, wondering if she's learned anything from this experience. Part of me hopes that one day she'll understand that true beauty isn't about flawless photos or perfect appearances. It's about the depth of our character and the strength of our relationships. That the perfect engagement she sought would have been more meaningful with her brother by her side, scars and all. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the mirror, and these scars remind me not just of what I lost that night, but also what I gained, a clearer understanding of who I am and what I'm worth. They're not just marks on my face anymore, they're badges of honor, showing that I was willing to put someone else's life before my own appearance. I wish Mary could see them that way too. The irony isn't lost on me that in trying to create perfect memories, Mary ended up with no wedding memories at all. Sometimes the pursuit of perfection leads us to lose what's most valuable. Real life isn't about perfect photos or flawless appearances. It's messy, scarred, complicated, and beautiful in its own way. In the end, this story isn't just about a wedding that never happened or a sister's betrayal. It's about understanding that our worth isn't measured by how we look in photos, but by the depth of our character and the strength of our convictions. It's about learning that sometimes the most important family lessons come wrapped in painful packages, and that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in the scars we bear for those we love. Sometimes the scars that run deepest aren't the ones you can see, but they're often the ones that teach us the most about ourselves and the people around us. My physical scars may have cost me my sister's wedding invitation, but they gave me something far more valuable: the wisdom to know my own worth and the strength to stand up for it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.